Hi, welcome to FutureGov TV. I am in Cyberjaya in Malaysia at the International Multilateral Partnership Against Cyber Threats, or IMPACT for short. With me on FutureGov TV today is Datuk Mohd Noor Amin, who is the chairman of IMPACT. IMPACT is a United Nations-backed global alliance against cyber threats. Welcome, Datuk Amin.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you. High on my list, the first will be the human. I think for governments, they have to come to the realization that the security processes must involve key people. There must be trained security personnel handling their infrastructure, their information, and these do not necessarily mean just the CIOs or just the people involved in security. People who are involved in day-to-day managing of information for governments too need to be aware of and they need to be vigilant of some of the threats out there. And there are sophisticated attacks which are socially engineered, very targeted towards human weaknesses, which is a relatively new area. I think governments need to give priority on. You can have the best technology, the best devices to protect. At the end of the day, your security is as good as the weakest link, and often the weakest link is the human. This is particularly true for countries which are very well connected. The vulnerabilities that today found more and more in SCADA systems, the systems that connect critical infrastructure. And this is very urgent and very alarming threat, because it can cause real harm, as in life and limb, to the population, simply because everything in most countries nowadays are so well connected. Things like the electricity grid, the telecommunications network, the air traffic control system, dams are also wired up. It is now possible to cause harm to a country by cyber means, almost the same way as a terrorist would in conventional means. For government networks, which are very pervasive, in many countries around the world, governments run huge networks, often being almost like being a mini internet on its own. And I think to monitor a network on that scale requires a huge amount of automation and a huge amount of human resources too, in terms of being able to guarantee 100% the safety of their networks. It is almost an impossible task, because it just means that there's going to be so much investments that are needed at the expense of other priority areas for a country. However, what can be done is to smartly prioritize, and I think putting in simple measures may not necessarily cost money, a huge amount of money, and investing in people, for instance, is something that's often overlooked by governments. Capacity building is so important, and yet security professionals, the ratio of security professionals in government as opposed to the private sector, that's almost universally a big disparity. That shows, I think, that governments, again, generally speaking, around the world, have not been making adequate investments in their human in their human capital, to be able to get the number of security professionals up, and a good benchmark will be the industry, will, I think, be a good first step. Governments tend to only recently, I think, look at human development as a key focus areas. Prior to this, the focus has always been on physical devices, systems, ranging from firewalls to antiviruses. I think nowadays governments have woken up and are making significant investments, and they need to do this on a consistent basis, because it does not mean that once you certify a person, for instance, the person's education has to stop. He has to be able to be vigilant and cognizant of evolving threats. So there has to be a process of continuous improvement. One of the key indicators that we have shows a rising interest in governments in forensic capabilities, and I think this is a realization that they really need to be able to trace the threats and where they're coming from, and I think that's a good start. However, forensics is not the end, because forensics is usually a reaction to an attack, and it will have been better to prevent the attack in the first place. So preventive technology is, again, because it involves a whole gambit of different technologies, from managed security services to other kinds of devices and services, very difficult to prioritize.